Herman from ESC Outdoors, and this is my review of the Evolve Zenists. Now, Evolve have created the Zenith with super sensitivity and flexibility in mind, which is similar to a lot of brands at the moment which are focusing a lot more on the indoor competition climbing scene. The Zeniths definitely fit in here. They definitely go against the grain of the traditional climbing shoe, which normally has a very stiff midsole, providing a lot of support on smaller holds, which is useful on rock, but with the current indoor sort of style has been a lot more dynamic on bigger holds and smearing on volumes. This sort of style definitely trumps that. Now, the Zeniths are super flexible, as I say, and sensitive without the typical stiff plastic midsole you get in a normal rock shoe. This just has a 1mm rubber midsole, which goes along with the 4.2mm of Trax SAS rubber, which Evolve make themselves. It's a classic sort of slipper design, really, the sort of modern competition shoes. It's got a single Velcro closure and sort of slips on there nicely with the elasticated top. The vegan synthetic upper also delivers on the comfort of the skin and offers minimal stretch throughout the life of the shoe. Now, first impressions of the Zeniths left me thinking that they could be a bit of a one-trick pony, being so soft with the speciality in the gym. They're designed to allow focus being on marginal footholds, where every bit of feedback from the shoe really does count. Due to the complete lack of rigidity of the midsole, you do get a lot of flex both lengthways on the shoe as well as actually widthways. This is quite unusual, and it actually means that you have to rely a bit more on the natural strength of your foot as opposed to the shoe stiffness on smaller edges. This is due to the lack of support. It does take a bit getting used to, I'm not going to lie to you, but after you sort of adapted to it a little bit more and potentially also just, strengthened up your actual foot, the edging ability is still very good in them. You're not going to be taking these on a big wall climb, a massive multi-pitch, or to be honest, most trad really, unless it's on the gritstone, sort of shorter routes. But they are a lot more versatile than you may at first think. Now, indoors they really do excel. At the end of the day, that's what they're designed for. And volumes and smearing, due to the Flexus shoe, they're just great. They really allow you to trust your feet as well on more marginal holds, especially once again sort of small smears. This translates as well as from indoors into outdoors on gritstone and sandstone. They continue to perform really well here. Now, on a more edge-independent sort of terrain like limestone, sport routes and whatnot, they did excel my expectations. I boulder a lot on limestone locally where I am in Dorset, but it's not really the shoe for that. You might find your calves are burning out a bit more just because you just have the support there. It doesn't mean that they're a bad shoe for this as such, but it wouldn't be my first choice. With a medium width toe box, it fits my foot really well. And this is due to the lack of structure that you actually get in them. They are so flexible, it's pretty mad. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a shoe that is just as flexible as this, just all round. It's made them incredibly comfortable and just feeling very natural. I've said it's fun to climb in already, and I can't really stress that more. It's sort of really hard to say anything beyond that. They just really are fun. I think it's just that feel that you get. It's so unlike any other shoe, and though they may not be the best for edging or maybe the best for every scenario, they're just really great fun. Evolve did stick, as I've already mentioned, to the 4.2mm of their own Trax SAS rubber, and this is similar to the majority of their performance shoes. I personally really rate this rubber for its durability as well as its performance. I think it's definitely worth a try if you've maybe been like a Vibram user before. It just seems really sticky to me, and especially with this flexibility, it's perfect. Now, the toe patch continues the trend of a minimal approach with a highly flexible and adhesive rubber patch here. It's been applied across a pretty large section of the toe box, which means you've got a large area for getting those awkward sort of toe hooks in, especially on the more sort of dynamic problems that you get on competitions these days. It's just super, super sticky. It's actually allowed me to sort of climb some of the best boulders, well, the highest grade boulders I should say, not the best necessarily, I've ever done because of this patch, I believe anyway. I've tried other shoes like the Phantom as an example on the same boulders and nothing stuck to them like this. I think because it's just so sensitive and so flexible, you can feel every little sort of ripple you're on, again, the whole way across the shoe, as I've already mentioned about the bottom of the shoe. And it just allows you to just get perfect precision on it. When things are really marginal, it just sticks so well. And I think because of the flexibility, it just allows it to flex and mold into the actual hold shape a bit more, or as much as your foot will allow. And this just allows top performance. Definitely one of my favourite shoes I've ever had or ever seen for toe hooking specifically. Might be a bit of a niche for some if you don't do it much, but it is highly recommended for that. And working back to the heel, it's just as soft as sensitive as the forefoot, which does tend to be, generally speaking, the whole way across the shoe on my one. That being said, on the most recent update, they have sort of changed across, and this is the more traditional sort of style that you'll see along the Phantom and the Shaman as an example. Well, I'll sort of give you a close-up in a second, but it's a bit more rigid. Now, I found personally the sensitivity was great in the heel, and I really do rely a lot on heel hooks. It's just something, I'm quite fairly flexible climber, and it's something I try to make up, I guess, for my lack of strength with it. It's amazing, much like the rest of the shoe, because you can feel everything on it in the original style. But sometimes you want a bit of structure, and I think that's where they've sort of addressed it with the newer model. I really like the Evolve heels anyway. I like Evolve shoes generally speaking anyway for my feet, and I think this is actually a good move by them, to be honest with you. Like, I did find it was a little bit too soft, and you get a little bit of rolling sort of feeling sometimes. Now with the new update, you get a bit more of an edge on there, a bit more rigidity, which just gives a little bit of structure on the shoe, and I think it's just a perfect example of sort of the innovation that Evolve bring. They've sort of listened to a lot of feedback at the end of the day, and I think this personally is what I prefer. Now, as with most of Evolve shoes, they tend to recommend you start at the street shoe size, and I think this personally is a great starting point for pretty much all climbers. I have gone down half a size in some of their shoes, which is more of a performance fit, which is once again what they recommend for that. I have had customers go sort of 1.5 sizes down, and you really get into like Daniel Woods territory with that. I personally think that's overkill for like the majority of people climbing like 6s and 7s. It's just, obviously it's everyone's personal preference. I think the benefit you get from the tighter fit, you sort of neglect with a softer shoe, especially like this, because you just don't have that room for manoeuvring in the sense that your foot is so tightly in here. It doesn't have that natural flex anymore. Now the vegan synthetic upper in these as well just contributes to a more comfortable braking period, which is great, and it will stretch up to sort of half a size, which allows it just to flex nicely around your foot and continue that sort of sock-like feel that you get in such a soft shoe. As I've already mentioned, you do also get the option with Evolve, with most of their shoes, like the Zenith, to go for either a standard fit, which is this fit here, or a low volume equivalent, which just means that pretty much everyone can get a fit that is perfect for them. It just reduces some of that extra height in the toe box and some width from the whole of the shoe, just giving a bit of a snugger feel for certain people. And there is no denying that the Evolve Zeniths are a great shoe for indoor climbing, but could they really hold their own outside the gym as well? I think that they can for a lot of scenarios. As I said, for like really tight sort of micro edging, maybe not the shoe of choice, but for limestone bouldering, they're still a great option. They could be like a real boulderer's dream shoe for indoors and outdoors on overhanging terrain. And some sport climbers maybe it's like a specialty shoe, but wouldn't necessarily be the only option I'd have if I was just a route climber. I think they really undersold the Zeniths with the marketing that they did with them, because they've sort of just said like it's an indoor training sort of style shoe, but after 6 months in them, I think there's a lot more in them than you may have originally sort of consider. Being so sensitive, like I say, it just offers something else, something new, something a bit different. So rounding the review off, they really are an extreme, like I say, in the fact that they are so soft, but they are definitely going to be keeping a place in my climbing bag. They've allowed me to do some of the hardest boulders I've ever done outside, which doesn't necessarily mean I'll wear them, you know, every single climb. If you just climb indoors, you probably can get away with that. But if you climb a lot outside, you might not wear them, like I say, every single session. But for when you want them, they are just amazing at what they do. And it's, like I said earlier on, just really fun. And once again, what more do you want in a shoe, really?